Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to finally address and talk about the 325IS project. It's been a very long time since you guys have actually seen this car and everything that has changed. So I'm going to give you a full walk around video. We're going to talk about everything I've done, why I did it, what's working, what's not working. It's all going to be in this video, so stay tuned. Alright, so hopefully you can tell by the intro, this car does now finally move under its own power, and I am super excited about that. But to get to that point, I do need to show you guys everything that did get done in between the last time you saw this car and now. So I'm going to start here. This is probably the worst news I have. While the M52 is in, the cooling system is assembled, there's still something funky going on. So if you remember when we first started with this car, the very first thing that I was trying to figure out was this weird, strange idle issue. The car just would not keep a good cold start. Like, it would run terribly until it warms up, and then it holds and maintains a solid idle. That was happening prior to this entire swap. Prior to the transmission and the engine swap, all the new parts I used, that issue was prevalent then, and it still persists now. So it is very hard to stay motivated on a car with the same issue. Ever since I started with this car, it's had the same issue. That issue persists. I'm super bummed about it. I need to do some more diagnosing on this. I need to try a different O2 sensor. I've already swapped MAFs. I've smoke tested the car. What else? I've tested the throttle position sensor. I've done a ton of diagnosis with this car so far just to get to the point where I'm narrowing it down. If an O2 sensor doesn't fix it and a different throttle position sensor and throttle body setup doesn't fix it, I'm gonna go ahead and get live data on this car somehow, some way. Once it's street legal, I can actually take it to a shop and just get live data on the car. So, even though we have this cold start problem, once the car warms up to temp, it does idle fine. It idles a little high, and I do think that that is because I did have the idle raised on the tune. I'm just not sure exactly what it gets raised to. So it does idle right about 800, 900 when it's completely warmed up and just idling. So the only thing from stopping me driving this car right now is power steering, and I'm so angry about it. So in regards to the power steering setup, there's an issue. Instead of swapping the M50 oil filter housing bracket, like that whole oil filter housing, I went ahead and left the M52 oil filter housing one on the M52. There's really no problem with that, but the issue is M50 and M52 pumps are slightly different. The way they mount is slightly different. So I cannot put the M50 pump on the M52 bracket. Total bummer, because the M52 pump actually takes different power steering lines, so I cannot drive the car down the road. That's the single thing holding me from driving this car, but it's totally a bummer because it would have been so much easier to hook up the power steering. Well, I had the whole front clip off the car. It's not terrible, just have to remove a few things, get the belt off, then you can pull the pump off. But I am kicking myself now for being a little bit impatient, wanting to get the car put back together. Alright, so the lighting keeps changing on me. I've had to film this like 10 times. I'm gonna go ahead and run you guys through the cooling system setup. It is a pretty OEM plus style cooling system, so I'm really excited about it. So we do have the stock clutch fan and original fan shroud. I'm a little bummed it is broken right here, so I will have to get another one of those at some point. The whole cooling system is pretty much stock. The only upgrades I've made to it, aside from refreshing everything with brand new hoses, expansion tank, like aside from the refreshed items that are OEM, the only things that changed were a metal thermostat housing. So I got that here, a Stewart metal impeller water pump, and then the Z3M radiator. So this is actually the Z3M upgraded radiator. A little bit of an upgrade, nothing crazy. Same with the water pump. It's not like anything performance. It's just a metal impeller as opposed to the plastic one. So bulletproof the cooling system, which is awesome. Now I want to talk about this real quick. This is not going to be like this forever. It's kind of just a temporary setup. This is the super budget friendly race German intake system. It's like 115 bucks or something. I was pretty stoked on it until I started to kind of put it together. It's not awesome. The filter's fine. It's kind of cool because it's a different style filter. You don't see that all the time. So I kind of like the style of the filter, a little bit more discreet, and I just think it looks better. I am going to run this filter down. I'll delete this horn and the bracket and everything and run that filter down into the wheel well. I just need to get some more silicone and some angled stainless and kind of make it look pretty. But for now, it's just gonna heat soak right here and take in a bunch of warm air. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the cooling system and the engine bay in general. It's still a little messy. I want to clean up some things. I was originally going to tuck that harness entirely, but this will not be the last engine that this car gets, honestly. So I just want something that's functional at the moment. I just, yeah, nothing is super pretty and nothing's permanent because lots of things have to be changed. Still, I need to make a ton of little tiny adjustments before I would deem the car roadworthy. But now sitting inside of the car, you'll notice some things have changed. It is looking pretty rough in here, but it won't look like this forever. It's just, you know, a work in progress, of course. So you'll notice we actually do have 3 pedals again. So I am super frustrated with the pedals in general. I've had to pull this whole assembly out like 2 or 3 times. It's finally all set up. As you can see, our clutch does come back. It's all bled now. So I'm super excited about that. This is also a new addition, this quick release setup from NRG. Not a super big fan of like the quick release. I've always thought it was kind of, I don't know, kind of unnecessary, but in a car like this, I'm a pretty big guy, so got some long legs. Nice to be able to take the steering wheel out just for ease of getting in and out of the car. Another really big difference in this car is now the dashboard. As you can see, I do have a OEM black, like this is an original black, same with the glove box dashboard, which is super cool because I feel like at this point it's kind of hard to find black stuff. So dashboard is installed. It was a total pain. Dashboards are never really easy, especially like the airbag model dashboards. The non-airbag ones are a little bit simpler, but this was not too bad. I just didn't film it, of course, like everything else in the last month. Kind of just skipped it, giving you guys a recap instead. Super stoked that I have my dashboard with the glove box. Now, you can tell probably on camera, which is kind of strange. It looks a little more drastic on camera, but this has died. That vent over there has died. That one right there has died. So I've been using a trim die to take some of the parts that were tan and make them black, because I am not going to go ahead and spend a ton of money getting OEM black pieces for this car that I'm missing. Pretty much everything that I have that's black is already in the car, so all the other trim pieces will be sprayed black. I also wired up a radio here, so this is a Kenwood, same thing I have in my M3, which is kind of cool, same exact head unit. So I went ahead, soldered all my connections, super good. Plugged the HVAC back in. It's not working properly, so I fucked something up. Go figure, but you know. Now, possibly the biggest thing that would probably be something that I'm not super sure on. Favorite and least favorite part of this car so far is the shifter setup. So if you've ever seen one of my videos about shifter setups, I'm kind of picky. I don't like chassis mount shifters. They're just not like my favorite feeling. I did have this one laying around, so that's why this car has a chassis mount in it. And when you do a chassis mount setup, there's way less parts you actually have to install. So given that this car was not a manual previously, it made the auto to manual swap a little bit easier, just having the convenience of having a chassis mount. So it is the Garagistic chassis mount shifter paired with a Coda built DSSR. Now I know it's a Getrag and it's nothing special, and this Getrag has definitely seen some mileage. Example, that's a little much, but about the same as the M3, so I guess it's something I'm used to at this point. It's very, very short, and I'm not a huge fan of super short setups, so this is a little out of my comfort zone. So that's kind of it for the interior. please bear with me with this car. I'm still working on it. So it's been a ton of work. I think eventually our interior will be to the point where I would like it to be, but as of now it's hideous. I understand that it's ugly and a lot more needs to get done, but it's not on the top of my list because I do need this car to run and drive much better than it does right now. All right, this is the part where I recap everything that I've already said. So if you don't like redundant words, you don't have to watch this part. So I apologize for not filming everything, but keep in mind I am doing this by myself. 100% this car was done by me. Nobody, aside from physical help to put the engine in the car and get it out of the car, that is the only physical help I've had on this car. I of course have tons of people that have reached out to me with advice and help with all the things I've struggled with this car, so I do appreciate that, but just know that it is just me building this, so it takes a long time. This car has taken so much of my time that I will never get back, so I have to make sure to really enjoy this once it does work as a car. But aside from all of the bullshit, it is a functioning vehicle at the end of the day, and the fact that I did it by myself makes me super proud of myself. So that's all I could really ask for. I knew it wasn't going to be perfect, and it will never be perfect, but it certainly is a hell of a lot more of a car, so I am excited about that part. Thank you for liking, subscribing, commenting, sharing. Anything you do does help this channel grow, so it is greatly appreciated. With all that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.